Good evening, students. Today we are going to have a small analysis on the life and works of George Bernard Shaw. We will be having a detailed study about one of his plays, Candida. As we all know, Bernard Shaw is one of the distinguished English dramatists. He was born in Dublin in 1856. His father did some work in law courts and settled in middle life as a grain merchant. His mother, 20 years younger to him, was an accomplished opera singer and lived a life of arts. Bernard Shaw has developed a great interest in journalism as a writing career. He sustained himself through many difficult times in his life and slowly he started writing novels. Uh, the four novels which he wrote in the beginning of his career from 1879 to 1832 are Immaturity, The Irrational Knot, Love Among the Artists, and Crucial Barton's Profession. These novels did not show much promise, but they anticipated many of the ideas and themes which Shaw had in his mind. Later on, he started taking interest in the activities of Fabian Society and he was elected as a member in 1885. In 1890, his knowledge of economic matters was considerable. He was controlled by a philosophical outlook. In 1891, under the influence of Darwin, he became a firm believer in the purposive life force behind the working of the universe. Shaw realized that he can do much more than what he did in his novels. He started reading plays of Ibsen and Archer, and slowly he moved towards drama. In year 1898, he published his first collection of plays entitled Plays. In 1898, he published the first collection of plays entitled Plays Pleasant and Unpleasant. In these plays, he shattered a number of conventional ideas which were in the society at the time. His plays proved to be a tremendous success on the stage. Among his best plays are Arms and Man, Candida, Saint John, the Apple Cart, and Pygmalion. And in 1925, Shaw was honored with Nobel Prize for Literature. And finally, he died at his home in Ayot, St. Lawrence, in November 1950. As a dramatist, when we talk about Shaw, he is a prolific writer. Though he was a philosopher, he was primarily a versatile dramatist. He conveys his ideas through his dramas. He is a writer of comedy with a tragic cry in his soul. He is a playwright who is appalled at the muddle-headedness of the race and therefore fights for the conquest of reason over unreason. He is a man of ideas. He conveys his ideas to his characters in the play. When we go on to have a look over different plays, we will have different ideas which he talks about. He debunks not only the medieval conservative ideas but also criticizes the moderns who gloat over their irrational reality. He believes in the emancipation of women, but his approach by his approach in the novels, he says that a woman should not be considered a slave, but only a comrade. His rationalistic approach to romantic love is reflected very much in Candida. Candida as a play has been highly honored for the amount of freedom the character Candida is given in the play. Shaw does not include conventional stage device like other dramatists do in their plays. He believes that his ideas are enough to make his play a successful one. If we go on to talk about the belief of Shaw's belief in life, force and rationalism, we will find that he has a coherent approach towards the way of life. He is a great believer in social and human welfare. He thinks that the philosophy of life force provides a solution to human problem. In fact, life force presents a code of life. There is a peculiar thing about this philosophy. He gives great importance to impulse, and he also talks about reason. Shaw combines both impulse and reason in his writing, and this makes him a great writer. He puts forward the social problems in a way which can be solved. He is a protagonist, or it's better, he explains individual's liberty in his play. He believes that socialism is a solution to all the drawbacks of the society. But his socialism is not dogmatic. His concept of socialism is elastic. His concept of socialism is influenced by the theory of creative evolution. He believes that nothing is perfect. Everything goes under a process of change that will ultimately lead to perfection. Shaw is critical about the existing moral standards of society. He believes that they need to change. He thinks that if conscience achieves victory over custom, it shall bring about a real change in the social setup. He himself declared, I am a moral revolutionary, interested not in class war, but in the struggle between human vitality and the artificial system of morality. And saw as a believer in emancipation of women can clearly be seen by the play in which he has talked about Candida as a very strong woman who speaks up what she feels. He thinks that marriage makes woman a subservient to the will of the husband. But he does not consider it as a hereditary situation. He wants to free women of this slavery. Shaw regards marriage as a sacred contract. This can give happiness if the contract is kept up honestly. His concept of marriage is very well illustrated in the play Candida. In fact, Shaw pleads for a change in the society, and he believes that a change in social setup can be brought about by a change in the mindset of the people. There's a little bit of introductory parts as I have given for Shaw and his life and his beliefs and his system of ideas which he has put up in his plays. Now, giving a great analysis to the play or an introduction to the play Candida, uh, Candida appears among Shaw's plays Pleasant and Unpleasant, which was written in the year 1895. It is one of the pleasant plays and subtitle is assigned to it. The subtitle Mystery has really lent it a touch of mystery which remains unsolved throughout the play. The play has remained popular even though the main issue does not appeal to us as much as it used to do in the past. It is a eternal love story between two men who are in love with a same woman. James Morey is a highly respected Christian socialist whose popularity is in his eloquence, his speech. Um, and he believes that he can establish a kingdom of heaven on earth by his ideas, by his preaching. He remains almost every time out busy. He believes that he is leading a very happy married life. He remains almost all the time busy, and with this belief that it's a great life that he is leading. This proves to be an illusion. Eugenie Marchbanks, a lad of 18 years, um, falls in love with his wife Candida. He is poet by profession and prefers to live in an ideal world of romance where there is no room for drudgery, hard work and coarseness, where there is only freedom and happiness. Candida also starts feeling a liking towards Marchbanks and his romantic fantasies. Eugenie becomes bold and feels that Candida also loves him. He shocks Morel by discovering this truth to him and his love for his wife Candida. Morel manhandles him, but is afraid of his wife's reaction. When Candida also repeats the same statement given by Marchbanks on one of the occasions, she just said that he was simply a preacher and his words are ineffective. His confidence was completely shaken in himself. Eugenie was full of self-doubt. Morel agrees with Eugene to ask Candida to choose either of them. Candida was smart enough and indigent at the very thought of her being treated as an article who was bid for sale. She gets angry and she accepts this challenge and asks them to say their bids. What are they? Morel says that he will provide us security, dignity and respect. Eugene has nothing to offer but his weakness and to be protected by her in moments of weakness. Candida chooses Morel, her husband, saying that he is weaker of the two. She also punctures the illusion of her husband that he is a provider of security and livelihood to her. She bluntly tells him how much dependent he was on her for everything. She says that he cannot live without her, whereas Eugenie can, and he has lived all these years in misery and loneliness. Eugenie lives the stage with a secret in his heart that remains a mystery to Candida and her husband. Candida, being play of ideas, suffers from certain loopholes, and that is lack of action. There are some other flaws in the play. The sudden change in the character of Eugenie makes him not one but two characters. The Eugenie of first scene is shy, effeminate and immature lad is completely different from Eugene in the last scene. He turns to be a very bold, confident and mature person. Then we know almost nothing about the offstage life of these characters. Despite these weaknesses, the play is interesting and stimulating, mainly because of the steady character development and the suspense which it has created. I hope the introduction to the play would help you to know the outline of the play Candida. Uh, I'll be uploading the next video which will be on title of the play and the plot of the play.